Hey guys, Rexasol here and welcome to Update Monday on the 25th of November 2024. This is a little late coming out. There are multiple reasons for that. First one is that I was in work today and then came back home and got distracted by other things that I was doing. The next is that we had a power cut, which is fortunate to an extent because if I had done an Update Monday previously in the day, the power cut would have happened probably during rendering, which would have completely decimated the video anyway. So, hey ho. It was a very short power cut. And then after that I had squash. I do squash weekly, sometimes 2 or 3 times a week. And so I went to squash and then I've come back, I've showered. I'm about to make food, but I thought I'd do this video now so that I can render it and then upload it whilst food is being made. I'm going to make a stir fry today. It's going to be nice. It's going to be a bit of a shorter Update Monday, just not to get it done, but also just so that I can just sort it out. Give you guys an earlier start than you would have if I had done it after food, because you guys would have had the update like tomorrow, basically, tomorrow morning, which I guess some people do watch that in the morning instead. Yeah, it's been a week for sure. We've had quite severe flooding in the area. We are fine, and most of the area is fine. We live quite close to the river that goes through Cardiff, the River Taff, and I'd never seen it so high. I don't think I've ever seen a river quite that high ever, in person, I should say. And the river that I used to live next to, where my parents live, where I grew up, that is, it's in the, I'm pretty sure it's the second in the world, but it's definitely in the top 5 for sure, of the difference between low tide and high tide. It has something stupid like 200 feet difference between low and high tide. So I know how high rivers can go and how ridiculous they are. But this river is usually quite low. There's like, at its low tide, it's probably like 3 feet. So it's pretty low in some areas. And then at its normal high, it's about 10. Here it was reaching 20 to 30 feet in height. So, scary. We also saw a tree, an entire whole tree carried by this river, and it hit a bridge and it made a very satisfying crunch. Good times. So yeah, we've had a lot of rainfall very recently. It's still raining. It's more inconsistent now, so we're fine. But to say, we live close to that river. We didn't realise quite how flooded it was getting. So when we went out yesterday, Sunday, and we saw that the field behind our house was completely flooded, we were like, oh, that's crazy. And then we realised why it was flooded. It was like, oh shit, the river is bursting its banks from some areas. Luckily, the entirety of the city centre, luckily, the Victorians are really good at building things, and it staggers me that after the Victorian era, everyone just kind of stopped. Probably because they did such a freaking good job. Everyone was like, oh, we don't need to upgrade any of this. Oh, we don't need to continue building amazingly. But yeah, the river, like banks and generally everything that the river flows through in the city centre is built really, really sturdily and really high, which means that the river would have to go an additional 20 or so feet before it started flooding, which means that it needs to flood 40 feet than its normal flooding height, than its normal high height, which is a considerable amount. Sorry, I'm sitting on my... There we go. So, anyway, that was an interesting thing to happen. A lot of rain is basically what I'm trying to say. And also last week it was incredibly cold. And I know I've got this hoodie on, and you're going to see this basically until it gets warmer. Because I love this thing so much. I basically live in it when I'm at home. It's a gift from my sister-in-law and brother-in-law. It's just really comfy. And yeah, it got really, really cold. We almost got to the negatives in Celsius. Not quite, but it was close. And now it's back up because of the Storm Bert. What a name. We've gotten back up to double digits, but yes, good times. In terms of everything else going on, a bunch of Warhammer done. I have a friend, I know that's staggering for everyone to think of. I have a friend who has recently acquired a 3D printer, and he has said, oh, if you want anything printed, I'll just like give you a little, like, effectively similar to how printers work in like universities or colleges. Like you have like an amount that you put on a card, and then every time you print it sort of deducts it, and when it reaches 0 they no longer do anything. He's set up something similar, so I've given him an amount of money, or the plan is to give him an amount of money. I've paid him differently this instance, and then every time I need something printed, he just prints it and then deducts it from how much plastic that takes, because he's got a FDM printer, which is different to resin. I'm not too sure how. Well, it's not resin, it's plastic. That's what the difference is. But either way, it's a different kind of printer. So I've got a few models that were just printed. I can't show them because I can't be able to get up to show you, and I forgot to put them here. So that's that. So that's something that I will be doing in future, and trying to get just some cool STLs and models and things, just to see what's what and see what we can do. For the moment, I've just specifically went for, I needed 3 models specifically for the army that I'm currently playing, where I wanted to run it as a block of 6, and I've only got 3, and I didn't want to spend £33 on 3 models, so instead I spent, I think it was the equivalent of £4 on 3 models, which is a considerable discount. I did have to buy the STLs. The STLs, it was a pack of 1, 2, 3. I think it was like 13 different STLs, and by STLs I mean 13 different. 13 different. It was a bundle of 13 different like sets, because every set had between 7 and 15 models in them, and a tank in one of them. So it was pretty good, and that only cost me £7.50. So I still spent significantly less, and that's how I paid my friend. I was like, here you go, have all of these STLs, and he was like, thanks, you can have these too. So good stuff. And then in future, if I want any of those printed, I can do that as well. And so far it's good. I've glued them together. They glued fine. They look amazing, just from a 3D printed kind of standpoint. They obviously don't look as good as like a proper model, but if they look good, I just need to spray them and paint them and see what happens. I've been playing a lot of Stardew Valley. That's just what I play at the moment. I'm really enjoying myself. I'm in year 2 now, year 2 summer. So that's been a lot of fun. A lot of D&D happened over the weekend. Live session, which was very, very fun, if a little hectic. But I feel like I'm finally getting to grasp with the character I've created, which was kind of like I want to play this class more so than I've got a character in mind, if that makes sense. So I'm getting a grasp with the character, which is nice. But yesterday's session where I DM was amazing. It was very lore heavy and very roleplay heavy, but they're about to head into a much more combat heavy focus, and I'm hoping that we can get through that before the end of the year, so that I can get a really nice, you completed this section and you level up, which is what I'm trying to get to. But I realise we've only got 3 sessions left of the year, so we'll see what happens. It depends how fast they go through this next section. I don't want to spoil too much, because I know that Lorenzo watches these, and he obviously is part of the campaign, so I don't want to spoil too much. But you've had a very long roleplay section after quite a long combat session. I want to give you a final combat section to end the year, and it's possible we won't get through it all, and I'm not going to rush it. If that's the case, then you'll level up at the start of the new year. But what's going to happen there is quite pivotal to the story, before an even more pivotal moment that's being catapulted from this, and it's going to be a really intense story-wise. Like, we're kind of at like end of season level. Like, think when Game of Thrones was good, think the assault on King's Landing. Like, it's something that has been grasped up for quite a while, and is finally happening. In terms of like story connotations, like whoever wins this happens. But in my case, it's not quite that. But in terms of story level, that's how I feel like it's happening. This is intense happening. I think all the players gather that something big is going on. I keep telling them something big's happening, and I'm really excited. And this is the issue. If anything, that's a spoiler. I'm telling them something big's really happening, but I'm so excited for them to see this and to be like, oh my god, what the fuck. So either way, that's happening. It's happening soon. We're not going to get to that big section until next year for sure, but this coming bit, which will be like, oh god, we actually have to do this like quickly or else. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, very excited. Love D&D. Oh, and my friend Josh, I'm going to hopefully since then here got me some dice for my birthday. I know it's a bit late, but poor man's did a good job. I'm going to just put them up to here. You might not be able to see too good, but they're actually inside these dice are little stegosauruses. That is incorrect. They are Diplodocus. You can kind of see behind the two. You've got a little dinosaur his head is looking at his tail. He's got his head arched back at his tail. Little dino dice. They've rolled very good so far. So, you know, pretty happy with that. So yeah, there we go. Happy me. I love dice. Love having more dice. Always give me more dice. I love dice. Can't get enough of them. Just really, I don't know why. I don't know why I have a fascination with. I guess it's just because I love collecting things. I mean, if you look at my Warhammer wardrobe shelves, there we go. My Warhammer shelves, you'll see the amount that I have is because I really like collecting. I like having something that people can see, and my dice is a bit the same, even though no one can see them, because I know that they're there. They're all boxed away really nicely, so I like that. Yeah, there we go. That's like all the big stuff. I had a discussion today with my good friend Richard about potentially joining a future event, an old world event. I was invited by my friend Cameron for this weekend. There's an event in Cardiff, but I'm actually busy. Otherwise I would have invited both Richard and Cameron to this as well. It would have been really, really cool. Unfortunately I am busy. But I was saying to Richard it would be really cool to go to an event next year. So that's something that we are right now it's yes, let's do it. Obviously we're not planning to do it like right away, but probably be like early spring. I'm thinking we'll head out to probably a Square-based event that is hosted by the Square-based people. Square-based being a content creating company, and by company I mean like two people, one based here in Nottingham in Britain and one in Canada. So we'll probably go to the British ones because Canada's a bit far. But I'm hoping to do a bit more competitive stuff this year, both for Warhammer 40,000 and also for Old World and Warhammer in general. Just, you know, meet new people, don't have to, you know, go against the same people every time, and also just become a bit more competitive minded. I feel like the competitiveness of the game is a really cool aspect of the game, and as much as casual, which is what me and Richard play for the most part, we have semi-competitive lists. Like, we don't have bad lists, but I think opening our eyes, different army variants, different people, we're going to learn a lot about the game system and how it's played, and also just I know how fun it can be because I've done an event before and I absolutely adored it. That was only a 1-day 3-game event. Usually these Square-based events are 5 games and over a whole weekend, so I'll let us have a nice time outside of just the events and stuff, meet new people, just have a good time. And if we don't enjoy it, we don't enjoy it. If it's too much of a hassle, it's too much of a hassle, but you know, want to give it a try. I always like competitive things. I used to play a somewhat competitive MTG for a very brief period of time, like for like one rotation, which is less than 3 months. And then I realised how expensive it was going to be, so I was like, fuck this. But for that one competitive period, very much enjoyed it, and I did very good. I was using a angel-based deck, and it was very fun. Anyway, it doesn't matter. That's in the past. We're thinking about the future. I said this was going to be a quick one. You get a regular episode of about 15 minutes, so good for me. Yeah, that's about it. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I'm sorry that it seems a little bit rushed and that maybe I should have taken a bit more time with it. Either way, hope you guys are doing okay. I will talk to you next week after. Well, we'll see what happens next week. We do have stuff going on. I've got my first of several Christmas dues with my work, so the yayo coming this week, and then Saturday Hannah and I are going to be doing husband-wife date stuff, so that'll be fun. There's a hot pot place apparently that we need to go to, and then Sunday D&D, which is going to be really fun. So that's what's happening. Hope you guys enjoy. If you want to come along to our stuff, apparently, but hope you guys enjoy your week separate from mine. That whatever games you're playing goes well, whatever projects you do go well, or if you haven't started one yet, that when you do start, it's amazing. And yeah, I'll talk to you next week, which will be in December. That's right, we are nearing the end of the year. Good times, it's gone quickly. Ta-ra.